Okay, so you just started out learning how to code. You're building out your first HTML, CSS project, and you have no idea what you should be doing to protect your work, to be able to share your work, or what exactly to be doing as a whole. So more than likely, if you found this video, you already know a lot of the basics in terms of HTML and CSS. The problem is you may not know how to use Git at all, and I want this video to be a primer for a beginner to be able to learn Git, be able to get going, no pun intended, and be able to protect your work long term. When I got started out, one of the things that I did accidentally was deleted all of my work. I had a brand new laptop, I set my environment up, and somehow my system got corrupted and I lost all of my work. From that moment on, I set out to learn Git and learn it well, and I want to prevent you from going through the same problem. So the first thing you want to do is you want to download Git Bash. And so you're going to go here. I use DuckDuckGo. You can use whatever browser you want. So you want to look at Git Bash, right? Git Bash is going to be a console suite that you can be able to use to be able to run commands right in the console. So Git Bash, I'm gonna have this link here, and I'm gonna go ahead and tag it in the video. But you're gonna come here to Git Bash, and you're gonna download it. Right from there, it may ask you to restart your computer. I recommend you go ahead and do that, whether you have it on Windows, Mac OS, Linux, whatever your system is that you're running. You want to go ahead and download it for that. So in this case, I have Windows, and then from there, you're just going to go ahead, and for me, I have a 64 system, so I'm just going to download it for the 64. I already have it downloaded, so I'm not going to download it again, but this is where you're going to go ahead and download it. So from there, you're going to go to your IDE. In my case, I use VS Code. And so from VS Code, let me just back out here. So starting fresh, you have never used VS Code before, you don't know how to open a console. Well, there's a couple different ways you can be able to open a console. First of all, you can go up here to the top left, and you can be able to select new console or open console. Let's see. So you can go up here to terminal. You can go to terminal. You can be able to open new terminal, right? So you go to open new terminal. The default is going to go to PowerShell. There are reasons why you would use PowerShell, but for the sake of this video, what you're actually going to be using is going to be Git Bash that you just installed. And so you're going to go to Git Bash, right? Okay. Now we're starting fresh. We are in our whatever root folder you started off at. In my case, there is a project that I currently have up and I'm working on. But I'm going to show you how to be able to start a brand new project. So the first command you'll want to learn, if you're in a folder and you want to go back one directory, so that command is called cd, change directory. So going up a directory is cd ... right? And so that's going to go back. So now I'm in a root folder. So now what we want to do is we want to start a new project. So in your case, this would be your first website. So you're going to say mkdir, that is make directory. Make directory takes an argument, and that argument is going to be the name of the directory or folder that you want to make. In this case, the make directory is my first site, right? Make directory my first site. Boom. And so from there, if you want to know if that directory was created, you're going to type in ls. So that's list. So list is going to pull up all of the things in that folder, right? In this root folder, for me, it's called dev work. But in this root folder, so you have the my first site. So we want to go ahead and start doing work on that in that folder, right? So we're going to do cd again, change directory, and this time you're going to type in my first site. So for Git Bash, it does have autocomplete, so you can just type in my and then tab, and it'll autocomplete it. This is going to prevent you from having any errors from just typing it incorrectly, and you're going to press enter, right? Now we're in the root folder of the my first site directory. From there, so you want to start building this project out. So we're making your first website. So the first file that you're going to need is going to be an HTML file. Typically, you want your HTML files to be called index.html for your root file for your like main home page. And so the command to be able to make that file is called touch. Reach out and touch that file and make it in the way that you want it to. So touch index.html, right? So touch index.html, okay? And then the next one you want to create is you want to create another folder. So you're going to have a CSS file, I'd imagine, with it being your first website. You should have learned how to be able to make a CSS file or why that is important. For the sake of this video, I'm not going to touch on that. But we are going to make another directory. So make directory, and that will be styles, right? So make directory styles, right? So from there, you want to go ahead and open this project up. The command for that, this is a VS Code command actually. The command for that is code dot. And that is going to open that project in a whole new window. So now when we go into this project, we can see now that we have index.html and we now have a styles folder. You can go from the console if you want to pull up a terminal. Again, you want to press Control Shift and that eyebrow key at the top left of your keyboard. You're going to want to pull up Git Bash again. And then boom, we're in Git Bash. Now you can see top down, we have the file that we created, our index.html file, and then our styles file. And that is, getting us started. So from here, getting your HTML file, you want to type the exclamation point at the top left and then enter. This is going to just bring up the boilerplate for your basic HTML file. Again, I am not here to teach you HTML in this video, but it is important to be able to know how to be able to do that. And so from there, I'm just going to go ahead and change the directory into the styles folder. So styles, and then we'll touch style.css. Boom. And so now we have the index, the style, and we are all set. For the sake of, here we go. So my first site is the name that we are going to name this, because this is my first site. So far you've learned how to be able to just set up the project and get it prepped for Git, but we have not run any true Git commands just yet. And so this would be the first Git command. So git init. So this is initialize a Git repository within this folder. Okay. This is going to be able to set you up to be able to upload it to a Git provider. In my case, I use a Git provider called Codeberg. And so I'm going to show you how to be able to set that up. Now, this is going to be about the same for any provider that you so choose to use. I'm going to show you the exact file that you need to be able to add, add that remote repository to this file. So we're going to run git init. So it says initialize empty Git repository in, and then it'll name the directory. Okay. And so from there, we want to stage all of the documents that we have in this directory to be able to be uploaded. And from that, we do git add. I want to add all of the files. Now, there are going to be instances where you don't need to add all the files. In my experience, you're going to pretty much update all the files in most cases. But there are going to be more advanced videos where I show you guys how to be able to differentiate. For the sake of simplicity, when you're just starting out, I would just say git add dot. That is staging all of the files. Okay. And so now we're going to do what's called a commit. This will be your first commit. What a commit is it is essentially saving, stamping, and then documenting what the changes in that file were. So in this case, we made the HTML file, we made the styles file, and we created the directory. And so we want to do git commit, but -m, this is the message or the notations on the file. It's a initial commit, created HTML, and CSS file for website. Okay, that's a reasonable commit message for your first commit. Okay, especially in this case, we really haven't added a whole lot just yet. This is just making sure to set us up that we can be able to add it at a later time. So from there, we're going to run that. So now it is committed. We still aren't done. We have to add that remote repository. So in this case, we're going to go up to, for me, I use Codeberg. So Codeberg is going to look a tiny bit different than, let's say, GitHub. So we're going to go ahead and sign in. And then for under repository, so GitHub looks much the same. You're going to go to the top right here. You're going to create repository. For my sake, I'm actually just not going to call this my first site. No, I'll just call it my first site. My first site, right? Site created for demo. I don't need to do any template in this case, and I don't need to make a README. That is actually something that I recommend that you do in your file, and that is a whole nother video on how to be able to make a markdown file. But we're going to go ahead and create that repository. The HTTPS link is what you're going to need to be able to connect the repository. And so in this case, GitHub and Codeberg do a great job of walking you through what that looks like. And so we already did the my first commit. The next command that we're going to do is git remote add origin and then this link. You can technically just copy this here and type it into your terminal. I don't like doing that. I like to type it out because I think that it builds the motor memory. So git remote add origin, quotations, and then you're going to add that link. All right, git push origin master. This is now, here's where we get into the weeds a little bit. So the initial commit is perfectly fine to be able to push to master. I do not recommend that you push everything to master from then on. And I'm gonna show you how to be able to avoid doing that, and the proper way to be able to do it to be able to save your work. And so in this case, we're gonna go git push origin master. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, let me see. Here we go. I'm not sure with that. Okay. Git push. You know what? Git remote remove origin. And so there's gonna still be some mistakes every now and then, man. I mean, I wasn't paying attention there, so that is my fault. And so now you can see, now we look at it, now that this is the reason why you double read, is we have the actual repository there. So now we've added it. Now git push origin master. So to go here and see the uploaded, for whatever reason, it is not allowing me to be able to push to this. So let's make sure that we have the settings set correctly. Is this set to a private repo? Not a private repo. No. Okay, boom, boom. So we're going to try to run the universal command. So we're going to do git push origin master. So let's see here. So clear. Let's see. So my terminal has frozen. sorry. So you want to make sure you're back in your root folder. So git init is to initialize the Git repository within the folder, right? Okay. And so from there, you want to go git add, and that's to add all the files for staging. And so we've already done git add. So you probably see we made a mistake. We actually made the Git repository in the styles folder. I don't know if you guys caught when I did that. This is called an embedded Git repository. This is not going to work. It's going to cause issues, and it's not going to take that commit. So from there, what we're going to do is just remove the directory entirely. This is another command that you should learn to be able to use in the terminal. And so it says we're going to remove directory my first site. Okay. And so now we're going to make directory. So make directory again, my first, or my second site in this case, because we are making the directory all over again. cd my second site, open that. And then we're going to do the git init, so initialize repo again, git add to stage all the files, git commit, add the message, my initial commit, created files for site and style sheets. Okay. Git remote, add origin. Make sure that's the right one. So, okay, my first site, git, okay. Again, make sure that you're in the root directory. You're in the root directory, my second site, okay. All right, and then git put, you know what, let's just go git branch main. Let's create a branch, right? To create a branch, boom. Git push origin main. Yes, I am authorizing that I can be able to use it. Authentication successful. And there you go. That is now pushed to that repository. And so from there, you're going to come down and we're going to check and make sure that's actually there. So we're going to go ahead and reload this. And look at that. You have uploaded your first Git project. Clap for yourself. Applause is in order. Now, this is where things get interesting. So from there, you've made your first commit. You've got your first commit. You've got the main branch. The main branch is the branch you're going to predominantly work off of. From there, now when you go to add features, styles, and things alike, you're going to want to branch. So currently we're working on the master branch, right? The master branch is the predominant branch on any of your projects. This is not the branch that you want to make changes in. This is setting you up for failure, because if you make any big changes and now the application doesn't work, well, you're stuck with those changes because you changed the main branch on the project. And so from there, we're going to come here. All right, so we are on the main branch. We're going to go ahead and we're going to make some changes to the file here. And so the first one is we'll make a header that says hello world. Okay. So to go ahead and open up live server. And on live server, we can see that the site now says hello world, right? Okay, so let's make some other changes here. So let's talk about ourselves, our first site. So my hobbies, right? Then make some list items, golf. Guitar. getting money. All right, so we go to the site here. So my hobbies, golf, guitar, and getting money. The 3 G's of life, right? So those are the changes that we made to the website. Well, from there, we want to now stage those changes. So git add, right? Git commit. You're gonna add a message again. Changing around content on the site, right? Okay. Whoops, bit. Git push origin main. All right, so we've now made those changes to the repository, right? So these are going to be all updated on the repository on Codeberg, right? They're going to be updated on Codeberg. Well, from there, we now want to show you why we branched the project in the first place. So branching is going to allow you to be able to separate your changes. And so if for whatever reason, you know, the changes that you made, you don't want to, you know, stick with them, you don't want to go ahead and merge them into the main project, that is the main reason why we branch. Is so that way changes can be made in kind of a siloed environment. And so if you don't remember what the changes were from your current branch and your master branch, that's actually quite easy to be able to figure out. You just want to go to git checkout master. And so this is what the file looks like with the main branch, and this is what it looks like on the master branch. So we didn't have anything initialized yet. And you can make changes on the master branch. Again, you don't want to do that. But this is just to illustrate that the branches are going to have their own separate changes. And you want to use the checkout command to be able to switch between the branches. So let's go ahead and go check back out the main branch. Now we are back on the main branch, and this is where you'll make predominantly your changes. So from there are a lot more complicated commands that we can be able to run to be able to show, you know, what all can be done in a repository for GitHub or for, you know, Codeberg in my case. But that is for a later video. So I'm going to tag a link below that's going to take you to a very short survey. It's going to be just a sign up for email. From the email here, I will take you to a download link on how to be able to download a PDF file that is a great reference material for you for Git commands. These are all the most used commands that I've seen, and it's going to be, you know, priceless for you going forward as a easy to reference material as you get more acclimated to the commands and commit them fully to memory, as well as that other link I was talking about, how to be able to get Git bash. But if there's anything else you guys want to learn, just comment below, let me know. But until next time, thanks for watching.